Welcome to the latest episode of Bundofla. I'm your host, Fevzi Hussein. This is episode 59, and I guess the obvious thing to start off with was the huge event over the weekend that saw King Charles III have his coronation ceremony, where he was officially made king. At least I think that's the whole point of the coronation. um, I mean, I'll be honest. I mean, I've got lots of friends who are royalists, um, and probably more so friends who have a bit of an issue with the monarchy. And I guess the main problem, if you like, um, is when you look at everything going on around us, in terms of poverty, cost of living crisis, and the fact that their coronation costed a reported £100 million. It's not an insignificant amount of money, is it? I don't know. There was a lot of people who were very uncomfortable with the whole issue around the cost. The imagery, the whole optics of it. With Charles and Camilla arriving in some gold coach. It's all just really bizarre, really. And it went on all day on Saturday. Thank God for Channel 4 and Channel 5, really gave people who didn't want to watch it an option. But one of the interesting things to come out of all this business around the coronation and the royal family recently with Camilla. Don't know about you, but I'm guessing most people didn't have any idea what the Queen's consort, like that word consort. I've never actually heard of it prior to Camilla being made Queen's consort, which is effectively consort is given to the name of the wife of a reigning king. Hence, Camilla was the Queen's consort. And it was interesting seeing what some of the stuff going on around Prince Andrew and Prince Harry, who has really divided opinions, and there's still huge parts of the media really making a big fuss out of Prince Harry, when my view is that they should just leave him alone. I think that effectively what's the harassment of Prince Harry has gone too far, and I just want to carry on kind of singling him out, really. When you consider the scandal that surrounded Prince Andrew, it's quite interesting how the media treats both of those individuals. The other big thing that came out of the coronation event was the arrests. A number of people were arrested, anti-monarchy groups, protesters. They were all peaceful protesters, and there were 64 people arrested. And I think it's one of the shameful aspects of the day that peaceful protesters who were there to air their opinion peacefully were arrested. And this was despite, according to Peter Tatchell, who was on Good Morning Britain, assurances were given by the Metropolitan Police, and an allocated space was also provided or suggested by the Metropolitan Police, which was Trafalgar Square. So it was effectively an authorised protest, but it's still we still saw 64 people arrested. So I'm guessing that all of those people will win their cases, and there'll be wrongful arrest compensation claims brought against Metropolitan Police. That's how these things happen. But I wonder what your thoughts were on the coronation. Did you watch it? Did you think it was a wonderful spectacle? I mean, there were parts of it that were undoubtedly impressive. You know, the number of military that were involved. You know, and there's clearly significant amounts of rehearsing that went into delivering that ceremony. So I'll be interested to hear your thoughts if anyone wants to contact the podcast. I think the other thing we want to touch on in episode 59 is the fact that there was the local elections on the 4th of May last Thursday, and we were saying that the Tories were going to get an absolute, and that's exactly what happened. For those of you listening on Spotify, I just put my fist into my palm. Actually, the outcome was it was predicted by many people. You know, the public are fed up. Even Tory supporters are fed up of the Conservative Party in terms of the shame, basically what they've brought people to, the amount of poverty that we're seeing in society. You know, people have had enough, and this was shown in the polls, in the ballot, in the local elections. Labour did quite well. Their councillor count is currently at 2,652, which is up well over 500. I think 528. So Keir Starmer will be fairly pleased with that. I think a number of councils that were previously run by the Conservatives are now controlled by Labour. And the other big winners on the day was the Liberal Democrats. The Lib Dems had a total of 1,615 councillors, which was significantly up. I think it was up by about 400 odd. So that was a really good showing for the Liberal Democrats in the local elections as well. And it will be interesting to see. I think there was a lot of tactical voting that took place, and hopefully that's going to be the pattern for the general election as well, because there's going to be we will need to see that tactical voting continue to make sure that the Tories get kicked out of power from the government as well. So the other point on the local elections, I think, was the wonderful campaigning that was done by anti-racists and anti-fascists. The Reform UK Party, which was the party set up during Brexit, they fielded over 500 candidates across the elections, which is a fairly significant number, and only returned 6 councillors. And there was another far-right group who I won't mention, but they stood candidates in Dartford and Swanscombe, and I'm pleased to report that they haven't had any success and returned 0 councillors. And I'd like to give a big shout out to a good friend of mine, Ricky, who stood for Labour in that election in Dartford, and Ricky was successfully elected, and I know Ricky campaigned tirelessly to make sure that certain candidates didn't do well. So well done. I think we're going to keep this episode fairly short. I've just literally celebrated my 53rd birthday, so I'm feeling a bit tender. And thanks for everyone who's been contacting the podcast to wish me happy birthday. That's always greatly appreciated. And I just want to sign off with my usual plug to highlight some brilliant work that's been done by the charities. There's a few charities that are very close to my heart, and I know that more and more people are looking to support charities. If you are able to contribute any spare money, there's two charities that do some brilliant outreach work with homeless people. First one is Street Kind UK. I give them a regular plug. Street Kind UK is an amazing charity. Once a month, you'll see them in central London, just off the Strand, and they feed a large number of homeless people: hot food, cold food, drinks, clothing, toiletries, you name it. And the other one, which does similar work, doing brilliant outreach, is Our Forgotten Neighbours. They can often be found outside Finsbury Park in North London, amongst other places. They also have a magazine called The Hub, which is a fantastic magazine. They're actually going to be featuring the podcast in the next episode. That costs £5 to buy online, and I would sincerely recommend that people consider supporting the Our Forgotten Neighbours charity by purchasing the Hub magazine. The other charities that spring to mind are CWHA, Communication Workers Union Humanitarian Aid, where I'm a proud trustee sit on, and ACLT, which is African Caribbean Leukemia Trust, which is very close to my heart, and brilliant work that Bev and Oren do with that charity. So if you are looking to support some charities, there's some really good ones to have a look at. There are one or two other new charities which have come to my attention, which I'll try to plug on the next episode. But I think for now, I'm going to leave this episode short and sweet. Just a quick reference to what's happening in the Premier League in England. Arsenal have managed to crumble a little bit, although they've picked up a bit. But Man City have taken advantage. I'm talking soccer for our American listeners. At the moment, it's looking like Manchester City will win the Premier League again, barring a huge slip up. But Arsenal have had a brilliant season, and we will be dedicating an episode with some Arsenal fans to kind of do some analysis on what's worked really well, who stood out in the season, and reminisce over some lovely memories, all Arsenal related. So look out for that one. So we've reached the end of episode 59. You can follow Bandofla on Twitter. The Twitter handle is _Bandofla, spelled BANDOFLA. To think about that. Or you can email us at podcastbandofla@gmail.com. We're on Spotify and YouTube. Do give us a follow on both YouTube and Spotify. It does help us immensely. All likes are appreciated. Look after yourselves, everyone. My name's Fevzi Hussain, and you've been watching or listening to Bandofla.